Welcome to Adobe live from OFF in Barcelona, OFF 2019. And for the next hour, I'm going to be with Craig Black. Hey, Craig, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. So we have a packed agenda for the next 3 days. We're going to be live, about 6-7 hours every day. Like I said, we have a packed agenda. We're going to start with Craig Black, and then we have Elia Ruderman, Kelly Anna, and then at 2 we have James Victore coming by and talking about his latest adventures. And then, interestingly, I will have a neuroscientist here with me at 2:30. And you're going to ask yourself, a neuroscientist, really, Rufus, what for? But we've made a lot of research into creativity, and the neuroscientist is going to talk to us about how the brain behaves under creative pressure. So that could be pretty cool. And then we have G Monk at 3, and then we have Percy Chen, Rob Zilla, and Ramona Kaulitsky, incredible illustrators, at around 4. And then at 5, after my keynote here at OFF, I'm going to redo the keynote that I did here on stage in front of all the attendees at OFF, and which will also include a sneak preview of a feature that we're exploring for Adobe Illustrator. So stay tuned all day. The chat is here, super important. That's where it's your opportunity to talk with us, to talk with me, with Craig, with all of the guests that we have this week. And hello everyone. Hello Julian. Hello, Sarah Lee, Tanya Conte, Tim, our super moderator, is here. Tim is in Germany.
All right.
Always in the chat, making sure that everything goes right. Alexandre Becquet, Paola Prosopio, hello, Noah, I can't read all of them. Meli, Fabiate, I don't know, I can't read things with numbers. Andre, Tanya, Icon London, hello everyone. Anyway, welcome. And like I said, for the next hour, we're going to be with you in about 30 minutes. We're going to be doing some portfolio reviews. These portfolios have been submitted to us in the last weeks. So I know there's a little portfolio review tab on the chat here on Adobe Live, here on Behance, behance.net/live. And as I said, if you're watching this on YouTube, please come over to behance.net/live, and you will have the full experience with the chat and the opportunity to talk with us. We're not checking the YouTube chat so much. So there's also information there. There's portfolio reviews. The portfolio reviews is your opportunity also. If you want your portfolio to be reviewed in the future, use that tab and just fill in the form, and we'll be looking at them. But like I said, the portfolios for this week have already been chosen, and we're going to be looking at them in about 30 minutes. All right, so stay here. Craig.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And let's talk a little bit about you. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from?
I feel like a small person compared to the neurologist person that you're having later on. So I'm from a place called Gourock, which is a small town in Scotland. Okay. It's a beautiful little coastal town. I grew up there.
It's like north, east,
It's
west?
kind of west coast.
It's
It's about 45 minutes away from Glasgow.
Okay.
It's a hidden gem. Truly is. It's a magnificent place. It's one of those kind of towns where there's only one graphic designer.
Graphic designer.
Which is very surprising. I think it's me. I hope it's me. I am a graphic designer, lettering artist, and typographer. I first graduated in Glasgow, studied there, and then I went to the bright lights of London. Went there and worked for 2 or 3 years. Went out as an independent designer in London. But I missed home. I missed Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
I missed the good old fresh air and the water. So I moved back home, and I've been there ever since. I'm a big fan. I'm a big advocate of Scotland. I love home, but I do a lot of travelling as well, which is good. The only bad thing about Scotland is the weather. When I turned up here, I was expecting sunshine. I had my shorts packed, and then it's a grey sky, and it feels like I'm back home again. So hopefully tomorrow or later today there'll be some sort of sunshine.
Yeah, some sort of sunshine. Yeah, it's not that warm here in Barcelona.
No, it's not.
Usually it's very warm, and
Yeah.
But no, not now. Now it's like Scotland.
Yeah,
Just
especially
for
'cause
you.
later on today, in the next 3 days, I'm doing a live painting on
Okay.
a car outside for
Oh,
Maurice,
okay, all right.
which is pretty awesome. So I was hoping to do it in some sunshine.
Hopefully it doesn't rain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's another factor. So that should be fun anyway. So it's great to be here and great for having me on the
Yeah.
show.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Hey, there's some new people in the chat. Hello, Alberto Comper from Italy. Hello, Alberto. Tapiwanashi, Aditi, Taurai, TMPX. Anyway, great to have you here. Oh, you have a ticket, Alexandra, and you have no time to come to OFF. Oh, that's why you were raffling it out. Okay, I get it now. Okay. All right. Why don't we look at your website a little bit? So you explain to us, a little bit of what you do.
So my work kind of spans between branding, packaging, installation, murals, and everything in between. But the main focus is on typography and lettering. I've been practicing my craft since I graduated, and it's took all forms and sizes. I love this idea of my work transpiring into installations and how people can touch and interact with my work and how they make them feel as well. But right now, my portfolio is filled with different and exciting stuff, which is amazing for me. I do also, as well as doing like kind of amazing client work, also I'm a big advocate of doing personal projects, and this is where I get to explore potentially things I can't do with a client at this stage. Whereas you can see on my portfolio, there's this kind of acrylic fusion stuff which I've created. It's literally a mixture of acrylic paints, a pouring medium, and some water mixed together, flung in, having a shake, having fun. And from that personal project has led to other commissions. So a lot of my portfolio has bits and pieces of client work, and it has personal projects because it's just as important for me to showcase them. So yeah, when you go through my portfolio, there's totally different things going on, which is quite exciting. But the main focus is typography and lettering. That is where I kind of, my bread and butter, if you could say.
Well, thanks, Tim, to put in the link to Craig's website. That's great, so everybody can look at it. It's always interesting when people work in agencies and then they go freelance. How hard was that?
The thing is for me is when I was working in the agencies, I spoke to the agencies and told them I have this fascination and passion with typography and lettering. So when I was in these agencies environment, any kind of project that came along with it, whether it's lettering based or typographic based, they would tend to come to me because I spoke up about it, and I was a big advocate because I wanted that challenge. And when I started to do all these projects, and it got to the point where I decided I wanted to go out on my own, for me the transition was a little bit easy because I already had that kind of experience working in that field. Whereas sometimes I know other people who went from agency to freelance life, it can be quite tricky because it's maybe jumping in from branding projects to web design to whatever. And I know it's what's necessary. I know sometimes you need to take on the smaller projects to get going. I'm not saying it was easy transition, it wasn't at all. But in terms of experience and getting the work in terms of typography and lettering, it came a bit more easy because I already built this portfolio on the side of a full-time job. Because when I was on a full-time job, and say I was 9 to 5, evenings and weekends I was already practicing and practicing and practicing. And then from that, you slowly build a freelance career on the side without kind of knowing it at the same time.
I understood when you said from 95, I thought 95. I said, looking at you, what? 95, you were active? I don't believe that.
No.
No, from 95.
9 to 5.
And of course, one of the things that enabled you, I guess, to move back to your hometown in Scotland is the internet.
It is. It's a big, massive thing for me. I have a client base all across the world. Majority of my clients are outside of the UK, which is fantastic. But the biggest thing that has actually been a huge benefit to me is actually being in my hometown. Because it's funny because when I speak to clients, whether they're in San Francisco, New York, or Australia, and I explain I live in this small town, and I have a Skype call, and I would show them, look out my window, here's 100 yards of water.
Fields,
there you go, there's the water, there's the fields, there's the mountains. And they love that, which is great. And it's never held me back in any way. So the internet has been a massive, massive thing for me, and it has allowed me to pursue this career going out on my own. So if I didn't have the internet, I would have struggled big time.
So Mark Burnett is asking, is that the Made Brave work on screen?
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right. So why don't we scroll down, look a little bit at your work, and maybe you talk a little bit through, one of your favorite? Oh yeah, I see the acrylics there.
You got the acrylics.
Yeah.
What we can do is I will do this one, which is a personal project, which started off as a personal project, which led to a commission. So I remember when I was in university, and we did this class. It was creating paper sculptures, and I was terrible at it. I was really, really bad. But
we like paper mache?
Paper mache, building whatever you wanted to try and do, and I found it extremely challenging. But I was, I'm very kind of persistent.
Oh, Michelle is asking maybe if we can speak a little bit slower.
A bit slower.
Yeah. We have a very international audience, so I appreciate the ask, and we will try to speak slower.
It's that Scottish accent of mine.
Good point, Michelle.
But this project is, it started from initial frustration in university, and I got to the point where I wanted to create some sort of sculpture, some sort of thing that would represent me as a person and illustrate my kind of skill set. So remember, this project took me at least 6 months. The very first time I tried this, because there was lots of small parts, gluing it together, building it. And the amazing thing that happened from this is when I put it online on social media, put it onto Behance, put it on my own website, the response was incredible. And the reach got further afield than I ever thought was possible, all huge thanks to the internet and people liking it. And then people, bigger clients got involved and saying, we would love to commission you to do this, and can you build these ones for me? And that was fantastic. So I keep saying it before, but I'm a huge, huge advocate of doing personal projects because it always leads to kind of professional and client work kind of thing. And it's especially in the early stages of your career. Even to this day, I still do personal projects, but it's a huge, huge, huge thing for me, and I highly encourage anyone who's out there.
Personal projects are really important. It's like taking time off from work and focusing on things that you really want to do. And the upside of it is, of course, that doing your personal work is you're doing the things that you really love, and then put them in your portfolio, and then these things that you love doing, will be asked for. So this you said brought you to an actual.
Yes, it actually. Yeah, so this one came from a client, and it was a restaurant in London, and they asked me to do these rhino sculptures, but with a typographic and lettering kind of element on top, which was fantastic. But I created another typographic deer head as well, which kind of came off the back of the first one. And I created this kind of type mosaic. So right now there's a colourful little dots, whatever, but within that is a hidden message saying seeing is believing. So obviously you need to dive into the sculpture itself to find it and read the actual message itself. So it has that hidden element, and I want people to interact with my work. It's not I don't want it to be precious. I want people to go and engage. They have to touch it, they can touch it. And I think that's important because there's a lot of times where I see work going, oh, it's nice, I can't.
I'm going to come touch the car that
you're painting. You can come touch it, you can make a mess, do whatever you want. But yeah, that was a kind of interesting project for me. And I could speak about another one. If it loads up.
Dong Hao is asking, what do you think is the difference between logo design and font design? Well, there's a lot of difference. I think, they have different scopes. Sometimes you design a font for a logo, and it's not really okay. So there's a logo type, and then there's fonts. So it's a good question, Dong Hao, but it's kind of very different kind of fields and.
It is totally two different fields. Like font design is more of the functionality of type is used, literally typing it out no matter what kind of project you're using it for. Whereas a logo design, a logo typeface has a totally different feel to it. A logo typeface maybe doesn't work as a font, so it's two totally separate things.
And Marcia is asking, hello, which was the most challenging project you ever worked on?
The most challenging would be my mural design for Robert Burns' Empty the Bard. I did this in January, and I was supposed to do this indoors a week before the deadline. The client decided they wanted to do it outdoors, right? Which is fine. Yeah. You could do it on a large wall, but they wanted it on 6 large boards so they can transport this mural to different locations across Scotland because it's part of a national campaign. Now, logistically, these boards are massive. They were like 4 or 5 meters high, but I couldn't, at that time, we couldn't get a large, big wooden frame that size. So we had to do 6 individual boards.
Oh, okay.
So, and then we had to do this poem, which you can see in the background as well. Originally, what we planned was to do a stencil and then spray paint, which would have been half a day's work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the stencil didn't work. And then a day before deadline, I had to reach out to, I ended up getting 10 students from Edinburgh College of Design to come help me paint, hand paint the poem in one day, which was crazy. I worked day and night on this one, purely because we had that deadline and it was to celebrate Robert Burns on Burns Night. So that was a very challenging project. But if you asked me to do it all over again, I would. I would, because I believe that those challenges and the pressures that I had got it to this amazing point. So I always try and embrace every kind of challenge that comes my way, rather than thinking on the negative aspect to it. I don't have time, I don't have this. Do what you can in that time frame. So it was a really interesting project and it was fun to work on, but it was super, super challenging, especially with the deadline that I had.
Let's see. How do you get clients from other countries and also manage to work smoothly with the clients without actually being on site? That's a good question.
That's a good question. Social media and LinkedIn, Behance have been huge, powerful tools in reaching people from all across the world. I think people need to utilize that more in sharing their work and being proud of the work.
Yeah.
With being, I am my own brand and I have a tone of voice, and clients connect with that. And they also, the good old word of mouth recommendations. So maybe I've worked with a client in London who knows someone who's in San Francisco, and I've done a good job for them, and I'm a good person as well, and they would recommend me on. So word of mouth has also been a big thing. A lot of people just tend to, okay, I work from home and that's it, but I get out there, I go to conferences like OFFF and I connect with other people. I like to collaborate with different people from across the world, and that also leads to interesting possibilities. And it's been a huge thing for me to go and meet people in person, because it's building a relationship, and that's the most important thing.
I think that's the most important thing as well. Like, don't be afraid to reach out. Like Craig reached out, he sent me an email, say, yeah, I'm going to be at OFFF, you need me on Adobe Live or things like that? And I said, yeah, hell yeah.
No, that's what you need to do. I'm a big advocate in reaching out and asking, because if you don't ask, you don't get. That's a simple kind of philosophy. And sometimes the worst case scenario is no. Someone says no to you. But if you don't ask, you don't get.
Oh, there you go. It's loading again.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Millie, I'm passionate about typography. Is it still possible to stand out, or it gets more and more complicated? Well, that's a good question as well. Yes, because there's,
in terms of standing out in a crowd? Is that what you mean?
Stand out in the crowd,
I think the best thing you can do is concentrate on yourself and not think about anyone else or compare yourself to others. That was the biggest thing for me. The work that I do makes me happy. It makes the client happy, and it makes me happy. And that's the key thing for me. And when you build that tone of voice and you show who you are as a person, that stands out. You don't need to be and compare yourself to others. I need to do work like them to stand out.
That's not right. I know this is something very, very hard to, like, I'm a designer as well. I started freelancing, and then I built up a whole company in the end, and then I started working for Adobe. But the thing is that, be ready to risk, like take action. I know it sounds like a fairy tale, like it's very easy for people who have success to say, just do the things you like, and do this and that. But it is true, like if you focus on the things you want to do, and the thing is that I also want to say always is that it takes time. Okay, so don't expect success tomorrow. Okay, it's very rare to have like immediate success. It takes a lot of work, a lot of investment.
That is so true. I'll give you an insight. When I graduated in 2013, I went to London, and for at least 2-3 years, no one knew who I was. All I did was personal project after personal project. Had zero clients. I had no clients at all. I've just done this portfolio of work over and over again. And then, but at the same time, I was showcasing it on Behance, I was showcasing it on the world and showing, look what I can do. And then it takes time, and what happens is it slowly builds momentum and grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, things have become surely much easier now because you can get the exposure with internet. Like I didn't have that. I had to fight. Starting my career, I started doing business cards for my tattoo artists, friends, or a local pub and things like that. And slowly build up and make connections, build bridges, and meet people. That's
totally.
And come to conferences like that. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, totally. Like I remember my very first clients, and it was doing a barber shop. It was doing my mum's hairdressing, doing the branding for that. Maybe it's stuff I wouldn't put in my portfolio, but it got my experience as well. It got my skill set up, and it built those connections, which is the relationships is the biggest key here. Definitely.
Pipe is asking, have you ever refused a project, like huge or not huge, because of your ideology? Something that you said, no, I'm not going to do that.
I've never been in that situation yet, unfortunately. Fortunately, I've not. Fortunately, I've not. There's never something that's came across that has kind of went against my beliefs or anything like that. I'm a strong believer. I believe in whatever I believe in, and when that situation comes, I'm proud enough to say I would stand up for that.
I think so. I think that when you stand up to things that you don't want to do, actually, like standing up to things you don't want to do is going to be beneficial for your design career because. Basically the things you don't want to do, you will not put in your portfolio, you will not talk about, you will not showcase. So basically it's just a waste of time. So I know sometimes there is money involved and you say, okay, I'm going to do it for the money, but it's a sad thing. So I always say, if you can refuse, do something else.
Going on that point, when you said about putting in work that you want to do, that's a big, strong thing for even my career, even to now. When I started out early doors, I only did personal projects. But I wanted to get paid to do mural designs. I wanted to do installations. So I built these in my spare time. I would ask someone, can I paint on your wall, a friend or someone, and just getting that experience and putting that in my portfolio because if clients, the way I look at it, if I want someone to hire me to do a 3D paper sculpture, then I need to show, I need to showcase that I'm capable of doing it, and it's so important that people understand that as well.
Hey, Gulshan from India. They're watching from all over the world. Denise, how long did it take you to get your style, and are you influenced by trends, or do you focus on your own style?
With my style, I have a very versatile kind of style. I wouldn't say I have a specific kind of thing, because even my lettering work changes, it adapts because of what the project is and what the client brief is. But what I do develop is my own persona and my own style as a person, which is so strong. I don't follow trends. I always focus on what I believe in and what I want to do. If I start following trends, it'll go out of date or whatever it tends to be at that point in time.
Yeah, and then you're known for that trendy thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about your most challenging project, and Amber is asking, what's your most interesting project?
Most interesting project? I would say the Made Brave mural, which I did, which was To Infinity and Beyond. That was really interesting because the agency asked me to bring...
Do we have it here?
It's the very top one.
Okay,
this one with the yellow background. This one was a design agency in Glasgow asked me to bring a brand value to life, which was To Infinity and Beyond. And they asked me, from my perspective, what To Infinity Beyond in a typographic or in a lettering format. So I came up with this idea that the word infinity had this kind of negative space, but would continually grow out of the wall, and this infinity aspect continually grow. And then the word beyond would literally go beyond the word infinity, so it has that kind of physical and kind of literal presence about it. And it was really interesting because you're also working with other designers,
Yeah.
and you're getting their opinions as well, and there's this kind of cross collaboration, which is really, really exciting. And it was great, like creating a design where it's unfolding in front of their eyes as well, and getting their input, which is really, really helpful. Because sometimes you could be in a space, in a workspace, all alone for 4 or 5 days. So it's really good to interact with people. But that would be a really interesting
Bringing
project.
Coffee and
Exactly. And with this project as well, I made a big, huge mistake at the very beginning. So I'll quickly go over this, but when I walked in, there was a beautiful big white wall, perfect to paint on, right to the front door. But I went to the paint shop and I had to get a yellow kind of Pantone colour paint. I spoke to the paint specialist and he said, you need to put a grey paint primer down, which will make the yellow stand out. My gut was telling me this wasn't right. I'm not too sure on this, but you trust the paint specialist.
Experience.
Exactly. So I went back, I painted the wall in grey, and when I was painting it in grey, I realised this was wrong. And then I had to put the yellow on top, and then I made a huge, huge mistake, because the next day we had the film crew coming in to film the whole process. And what happened was I had to work day and night to get that wall back to white.
Back to white, oh my
so
God. Yeah.
It had so many emotion levels were high and low throughout, but I do love how it turned out in the end.
Meili, well, we're glad we could give you an answer. Meili is still a student, and so that was very important for her to understand. It's as a student today, I would also think about that quite a lot. Like, how am I going to stand out? How am I going to succeed after I finish my studies? And like we mentioned, the important thing, and this I cannot mention this enough: focus on the things you like, and focus on. And don't put things in your portfolio that you didn't enjoy doing, or that you don't want to do in the future, because there might be somebody out there that asks you, can you do that for me? And he's, oh God, no.
I think that's really important. When I worked with an agency, when I spent my time in an agency, I used to look at a lot of portfolios, and I worked for a branding and packaging design industry agency, sorry. And then I would get a portfolio coming through, and it would have one piece of branding, one piece of packaging, and then 4 pieces of web design, and then UI. And if you look on our website, we don't do any website, we don't do any UI. So it looks to me that person hasn't took the time to look at our website and go, what is it they need, what is it they're actually working for? And I think students need to take that on board more, because the way the world is, and then you work in an environment, quickly, you look at portfolios very quickly, and if there's something like that puts you off, you can.
We're going to be talking about portfolios just in a few minutes. Let's see if there's other questions here. Oh, Icon in London is asking, do you think speaking at events attracts clients, or it is more to do with being involved in the design community?
I think it attracts both. I spoke at a conference in Australia last year, and I managed to get 2 or 3 clients from that. But the reason why I got those clients was building a relationship with a person who was there in the crowd, and it was just a friendly conversation, and it led to 6 months to a year down the line we collaborated on a project. But it's great, it's fantastic to meet with other people, other creatives who are all like-minded, so I highly recommend coming to events like this. It's truly amazing.
And Marcia is asking, when it comes to lettering project, which is your favorite tool for the job? The brush.
Mine's, do you know what? I always go with pencil and paper. Every time. Every project I start is pencil and paper before I even take a digital.
Do you have sketches of this, for example?
I did on the film. I don't have it, unfortunately, on that. But that's how I show the clients before it's going to be into a mural design or installation. I do everything by hand first. So I would always say the pencil and paper for me.
Let's see. Bjorn is asking, does everyone have a portfolio? I've been working under a full NDA for the last 20 years. Wow, okay, I hear you. I hear you. It's hard to create personal projects when working 50, 60 hours a week. Any creative suggestions? That's a hard one,
that is a hard
Bjorn,
one.
because if you're under NDA, of course, you can't show your projects. Does it expire? Like, is the NDA forever? Like, but I understand. There are some clients will tell you, you can work for us, but you can't promote it. You can promote yourself with the work you did for us.
One piece of advice I would say is if you are able to do personal projects on the side, like everyone thinks that you need to do this big, large chunk of personal work. What I did was I worked long hours when I was in London, but every evening I would commit 1 hour an evening. So whatever I did in that evening, it would be 1 hour's work, and I'd done that for every single night. Rather than thinking I need to work 4 hours tonight or 4 hours tomorrow night, an hour, 1 hour each night breaks it all down and it makes it much more manageable. So that could be one way of building that kind of portfolio in that sense.
I think repetition makes habits. So like I think that's a very good suggestion, Bjorn. Like if you just allocate yourself a piece of time and you say every day I'm going to work on my dream project and focus on that every day, and then it becomes a habit.
Yes.
And I think that's very good advice. Yeah. Oh, they're giving each other off tickets. Okay. All right. And there's a very important question. Do you think studying is key to success? Do you believe someone can be self-taught into creativity and design?
For me, I benefited from studying. At the time in my life and who I was as a person, studying was the best thing. Now, I know some highly talented people and amazing individuals who have all been self-taught. So it depends on the person and how they learn. You may learn better in a classroom. You may be better learning from home. There's no right or wrong answer to this.
I think the thing I always say about school and studying is that it's not so much about learning the skills, because the skills you can learn by yourself, watching YouTube or trying or doing. I think it's a lot about meeting
connecting with people,
and meeting, like spending some time with people who are like working in the same direction as you are and picking up information left and right. So I think studying is much more about sharing experiences. Of course, it's very important to have good teachers. A bad teacher can ruin your experience and make you want to give up. But I think the class, like you said, Craig, there's a million talented people out there who have never been to school.
One thing that you can, being in a classroom, also kind of generates social skills, which is really important. So you know how to interact with another creative or another like-minded person. But these social skills will hugely benefit you more whenever you're working in a design agency, or even when you get to the point where you're working with clients directly. Like interacting and speaking to a client, all right, it's speaking to another human being, but you know how to speak in a design sense and how to get your work
I think we're going to have to move to portfolios now.
Okay.
But just for Michael Wilford, what recommendations do you have for creatives who is married and has 3 kids? Time for ideas is all day, but to realize them is hard when time is short. Do you know any good wise hint? So for Michael, I'm a father too, and I think I work at home, and I think the most important part was really to find a space for yourself where the kids actually respect your alone time. I know it's super hard, but I think I think it's part of the family life that that somebody, either the father or the mother, has to have their own time and take this 1 hour out of the day and say, kids, this is. Well, it also depends on how small or big the kids are, of course. Small kids take a lot of attention, and I myself, when the kids were very small, I made it a point to be more at home than usual. But yeah. All right, so let's move on to the portfolios. The first portfolio that was submitted to us is by Elizaveta Sliwinska in Nuremberg in Germany. So this is on Behance. Thank you for submitting, Elizaveta. I know you are here in the chat, and I've seen her before.
Right. Awesome.
So I know she's here. And the next portfolio will be Marcia de la Rosa. I think I saw Marcia too here, so they're ready for your your input. And yes, what I always ask my guests, in front of this portfolio, to stop on the things that inspire you, the things that you think you can contribute to. So let's just click in and dive in. Yep.
Cool.
Oh, Marcia is here. Okay, perfect.
Marcia's here. So, if I pronounce it, Elizaveta.
It's like Elizabeth.
Right.
Yep.
Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. some Scottish accent. Some lovely colours in the illustrations here. I love that. The things that I'm instantly drawn in is this.
Oh,
the brass player.
the illustration.
And that's beautiful. I love that.
Oh, various musicians.
Yeah. Really, really cool. They're nice
Is
as a
there any
set.
explanation on top? Illustration series for audiologists. 3 images were created brass. Oh, yeah. It would be cool to know, Elizaveta, what medium you used, and have a little bit more insight into the technique that you used here. They definitely look awesome. I mean, I love the color combinations.
Yeah, they're totally incredible. I love the shadowing that you've done as well, even from the individual coming off the side of the image. Like, I think that's fantastic. But again, I don't know what materials that are being used. It'd be really nice to find that. Maybe even a behind the scenes process or something that could just give a wee bit more. But yeah, I think it's wonderful. I love the illustrations. I think they're really, really good.
Yeah, I think like behind the scenes is always important, especially in illustration work. You know, just to show, you know, if it's analog, if it's digital. Have you done it with a tablet? Have you done it with a Wacom? Have you done it with like, you know, to have a little bit more information. And
just explaining what kind of tools you used as well, because some clients would like to know how they could take this. Is this like a print, or could this be large scale, or digital? So there are different factors.
How big are they?
Is
you know,
that,
like if it's analog, you know, like
So I'll just
more information. That's
so these are quite nice. So my new flat, my illustrations submission for Akin Awards.
about the sphere of life and our habitat in nature, sometimes relevant, sometimes not.
These are beautiful. I love these. It makes me wonder, is it, I'm trying to think, is that in crayon or is that pastels that you've created?
Or Photoshop?
Photoshop, I have no idea, but
I think it's a good idea to put them into context as well, like this. Yeah.
Yeah, and the kind of mock-ups
like
and
a
stuff.
mock-up, yeah.
Mock-ups are really nice.
Oh,
but
do we have sketches?
That's nice.
Sketches are super important.
It really is.
Remember, like the portfolio is to show off your work and show a potential customer, like somebody who will pay you to do that exact same kind of thing. You know how you work and how to understand. You know, like, okay, so how did that person, you know, get to this? And I think sketches in this case are so important. And you know, the sketches are wonderful.
Something you need to bear in mind is some clients.
It's Photoshop.
It's Photoshop.
Yeah.
Wonderful work.
Yeah.
Some clients don't actually, once you were doing one round of iterations on your illustration, some clients may think they would want that to be the final piece.
Yeah.
And if you turned up and showed them just a sketch, they would be a bit lost. So you need to make them understand from an early stage that you would do sketches to show them this is what it'll be, but however the final point will look something like this. So that's a big way that I do my work. I always do sketches in the kind of first round and give them an idea of the concept and what I'm trying to achieve, but give them an idea of what the final outcome will be, because that's hugely, hugely important for clients.
I'm just clicking on a design project.
Yep.
Because one thing that I always, you know, oh, that's very clean, very nice mock-ups as well. It's always nice to see, you know, things like in mock-ups, like to see how they could look. But you know, one comment maybe I have, you know, about the portfolio is that, okay, so you do say you're an illustrator and designer, but sometimes, you know, you're a designer and photographer. Sometimes you're like an illustrator and video maker. And my suggestion is always maybe do a design portfolio and an illustration portfolio. Like separate the two things, because there's two Elizavetas out there, okay? There's a very good designer, a very good illustrator. But mixing the two things together, actually, you know, like if I'm looking for an illustrator, maybe I might be confused, okay, what's all that design stuff? Or if I'm looking for a graphic designer, I'm looking at the illustrations and it gives me another impression that I'm not exactly looking for. So
I totally agree there. It depends also, where do you want to go? Where do you want to see yourself? Do you want to be known as an illustrator, or do you want to be known as a designer? Because the majority of the work there looks like illustrations, but the first two projects are branding and design work. It's not to say that you can't do it, but it's, like Ruth said, having potentially two separate portfolios. Yeah. Or maybe another way, if you were going to do some branding projects, it would be incorporating illustrations into the branding work, which would be a bit more of a kind of crossover between the two. But from what they see in those projects, the branding ones, it doesn't look like you have any kind of illustrations like you've done before.
You can open one last project.
One last project, right. I'll go for...
And it's cool that in the chat everybody's giving support to Elizaveta. Amazing work,
yeah, it's
nice
great.
And cool work.
Okay, so we've got the rabbit schmabbit.
Oh, that was actually a question. Can you mix design with illustration in the portfolio? Yeah, we just answered that. So, yeah.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
So we've opened up this...
You can, but it's not optimal. It's not ideal, let's say.
Yeah, you can, yeah. So we've opened up this rabbit schmabbits, if I pronounced that right.
Okay, a theater poster for the Russian theater in Nuremberg, the place called Rabbit's Schmabbit by Edgar Carrot. Okay.
Okay. It's a very cool poster design, really nice. So you've done the pencil sketch. It gives me an idea of how it was initially created.
I think sketches are always very important.
Yeah.
And I like the impact of it. I like the punk reference, you know, like the Sex Pistols and things like that.
A combination with typography as well.
Even Wired sometimes does things like that. Yeah.
Something that I do like mock-ups, and I think it gives off the projects, but sometimes I like to see a photograph of like a real poster printed. There's nothing better than actually seeing maybe the texture of the paper. So maybe for future kind of projects as well, like if you're doing a poster campaign, literally get them printed on nice quality paper and take a photograph of that, because the textures and the colours in a print could be much more vivid than a mock-up.
Because one thing also, Elizaveta, that I invite you to do on your portfolio is, as Craig just mentioned, is, you know, maybe it wasn't printed, maybe it was a project that was presented and not printed. It doesn't matter, but, you know, say that also in the description, okay? And this was printed in 500 copies and hung across Nuremberg, for example. Like, tell us a little bit of story. A portfolio is a lot about storytelling and about letting the viewer know how you got to the idea, what happened to the idea, was it successful, was it unsuccessful? You know, like, give us a little bit more context inside of the ideas. Well, Elizaveta, thank you for submitting your portfolio, and I hope the feedback was useful for you. Let's move on to the next one, to Marcia Della Rosa. Oh, Buenos Aires. Okay, wow, very international today. Art director, calligraphy artist, marciadelarosa.com. Okay, Marcia, you're up now.
Awesome. Okay. I'm instantly drawn to this
colorful one.
Yeah, this colorful one saying Magic, which is a calligraphy collection. Just slowly loading up. From the initial,
it's slowly loading.
What we've got, all right, it's coming up now. So it's a beautiful calligraphy work, really, really awesome. I'm guessing these are just pieces of personal work which you've done over the year. It'd be good to, if you said that, or is this client work or collection that you use for client work, or is it part of a campaign? But it is beautiful calligraphy work. I would love to know what tools you've used, because it looks like you've used, is it digital, or is this actually handcrafted by pen, then scanned in?
Yeah, maybe sometimes it says next to the, no. Sometimes it says next to the project what tools were used. You can actually, here, Photoshop and Illustrator.
Ah, right, cool.
Oh, and Procreate. Okay, so basically drawing on the iPad as well.
Ah, nice. Yeah. So it's using different brushes and Procreate and stuff. It's really, really good. There is obviously it's a huge collection of work and it has a massive body, which is great. I would break it down a bit more though. So there's literally, I'm guessing, over 20, 25 pieces of work here, and some of them could be highlighted a bit more. So you've got this kind of beautiful big wide image here. You should do probably consistently, doing wider, bigger images so people can see it loud and proud of what you've created. And it's okay to do more than one collection. You don't have to cram them in one thing. You can do more. But it's great work, great calligraphy work. But again, like this remember one, I have to like read the small print. I would love to have seen that much bigger. Don't get me wrong, I can understand I would have to do that, which might help.
But very nice explorations into calligraphy, yeah.
Cool. So, I'll just go into this, see what the night campaign is. Oh. It's just slowly loading.
Yeah, I think a little bit of help here. We'll get there. Super tolle Arbeiten. Yes. Natalie says they're great work. Gorgeous. Yeah, it's not really fonts, Anita. Well, this was really calligraphy. So let me see here. There's an explanation up there. Nike invites illustrator, graphic designers, and mixed media artists from around the world to creatively bring to life the theme Go Far. Okay, the Nike Epic React shoe must be the center of the artwork and should be surrounded by elements. Okay, so that's the brief. Okay, the sketch. Photographs. You know, and there we can also see like mixing in the calligraphy, like the painterly kind of. Just gonna go down if there's an end to the story.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so we have a mock-up here, or maybe it's real. I don't know. Okay. Nice.
It's a nice way of presenting the work as well. I love this, the transitioning from design to sketches. How it's laid out.
There's various, okay.
About the artwork.
Yeah. Oh, nice, this one as well.
I love how we've combined the calligraphy with the shoe as well. That's really pretty cool. I like that.
Nike and Marcia. Again, Marcia here, maybe it would be nice to have a little bit more insight as to what happened to your design. What, you know, did they choose it? Did they not choose it?
Yeah, did it go live?
Did it work out? Is it, a little bit more context. The work, you know, I think it's a great way of presenting. I think people who spend time, like really designing their Behance projects like this, you know, have a greater chance of success because it makes it look more interesting and gives us more insight into your work. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just make sure that we know whether it actually went live or not. Great ways to be displayed. I love how you use the calligraphy with the kind of photography and illustration. But yeah, that'd be my feedback on that.
One last one.
Okay.
We have 3 more minutes.
I will go for denim, lettering, and calligraphy.
Live to rock.
So. Okay.
Let's see if it loads. Otherwise, we'll just. Okay. De La Ostia. Okay. Lettering and calligraphy for a special event for De La Ostia. Probably is it a jeans brand in Argentina? I love calligraphy.
Yeah.
Has this actually been painted on it, or is this a mock-up? But I love calligraphy on clothes. I think that's very interesting. Do you do that?
I've never done it before. I haven't. I've actually, in the past couple of days, someone's asked me about painting on a leather jacket, which may be a bit different. But I do love seeing kind of realistic photographs of actual clothing, and maybe it looks like you've hand painted on the jeans here, which is pretty nice. It would be great to know more about the actual project itself, the brief, the materials you use, what kind of I'm guessing it was paint pens that you used, or was that a chalk pen?
Yeah.
It'd be good to have more insight, maybe even potential sketches as well,
Yeah.
to see what the initial stages were.
Let me just go back to the images here, there.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so again, I think, the takeaway here is really give the viewer, the visitor to the portfolio as much information as possible. Was it produced? Was it made? Because this is also important, like if I'm going to hire you, is Marcia able to go through the whole production process? Or is she just making a sketch in Photoshop and putting it on a gene and show it to me and then, whatever. But it would be very interesting to know, what happened to the project? Did it work out? What did maybe a quote from the client or things like that, just to give us a little bit more flavor around
more
the
context.
portfolio.
Yep.
It's just printed on denim, all handmade. Great
Fantastic.
stuff. Fantastic. I hope. I love drawings on clothes.
Yeah,
so.
the calligraphy is beautiful.
Great
Done a great job.
Great work, Marcia, and thank you for submitting your portfolio. Craig, our time is over. We're going to be live soon again with Elia Ruderman and my colleague Stephanie as a host. So you all stick around. We have about a 10-minute break, and then we will be back.
Thank you.
Oh, we're already cut.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was
I
good.
have to be more careful. Yeah.